So I'd like to turn it back over to Barb for any questions you might have.
Great. Well, thanks to the three of you for a great presentation. And now we'll have you address some of the questions that have been submitted throughout. So the first one is for Mikio. I'm going to maybe rephrase this one a little bit. This goes back to the video that you showed with the three different instruments and the differences in results. And this question has to do with, wouldn't it be better to compare results using a single instrument? So I guess one way to phrase this question would be, could you run an ATP-only swab in your instrument, as well as the A3?
Sorry, I can't understand the question. Could you please repeat that?
Sure. In your video, you showed the A3 test results compared with two different ATP swab test results. Is there a way to measure both the A3, so ATP, ADP, AMP, with an ATP-only swab using the same instrument?
Yeah, sorry, it's impossible. Sorry.
Oh, no, that's fine. So, then how do you know that the A3 test is much more sensitive if you can't compare with ATP only using the same meter, for example?
I understand. You mean the difference of the devices.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I understand. So, please refer my publication in journal. So, probably the one ATP test showed 4 times higher measurement value than our A3 test, and another one shows about half measurement value compared to our A3 test regarding just ATP. Is that
okay?
Is that okay?
Yeah, yeah.
I understand. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Yeah.
So another question is, and this is a little bit more general, but maybe see if you could address this since you talked about the sanitation program. Obviously, the pandemic is promoting more emphasis on sanitation. Do you have any thoughts about how that might change and how this technology could play a role in that?
Definitely. Obviously sanitation and like I said, with what's going on today, sanitation is going to be a very key emphasis for the next 12 to 18 months. Sanitation programs are evolving and they're becoming more important, not just because of the virus, but also because it's forcing companies to re-examine their sanitation program and prompting them to improve. So there's been a lot of studies, not just recently, but over the years about how ATP testing can be an indicator for proper sanitation with specific regards to viruses. So, ATP testing is a key tool, not just now, but it has been and it will be for sanitation verification, particularly with what's going on now. And it's an incredible tool, that's quick, easy for you to evaluate your sanitation program and make improvements to your plant overall. I can't overstate just how important ATP testing is, specifically with regards to what's going on, and we see that firsthand with a lot of end users that we're working with now.
Great. So this is a question for Tom. Can you talk a little bit about how temperature might affect your results?
Sure, and that's a good question. The temperature of the enzyme in the A3 swabs is going to affect your readings. So, for example, we recommend storing the A3 swabs at refrigeration temperature to extend the shelf life, but you're likely to see an impact in your readings if you pull it right out of the fridge and swab a surface. It's not going to have the same level of accuracy. So we always recommend reading results on the A3 meter with these swabs at room temperature around 25 C to get the most accurate results possible.
Great. This one came in for Steve. How do you determine the RLU values for the different areas?
So I assume that probably refers to the RLU limits for certain areas, and then this goes into what I kind of talked about in an earlier portion of the presentation is risk assessment. How do you identify areas that are high traffic areas, critical control points, fluid contact surfaces? You may have a sanitation program that already defines RLU values, but if you don't, it's something that you can very easily implement and create in terms of creating a comprehensive sanitation program. That can be as simple as swabbing after a production run, swabbing before your cleaning protocol, and then swabbing after to determine acceptable limits for for that particular sample point. And that's something that we certainly can help with at Weber Scientific in terms of creating a comprehensive sampling program.
Great. Mikio, this one is for you.
Yes.
So when you have cleaned a surface and then you're going to do an A3 test, do the sanitizer residues, if there are any left behind, can those affect the test results?
Sorry, just a moment. Good. Okay, I understand your question. The high levels of sanitizers will affect the result to some extent, and this is the case with the most ATP tests. We confirmed that sodium hypochlorite and hydrogen peroxide at 0.1% do not affect the result remarkably. In addition, the benzalkonium chloride at 0.01% and ethanol at 1% do not affect the result. We recommend that the test sites are rinsed well before measurement. Is it okay?
Perfect. That's great.
Thank you.
One more question for you. So there's maybe a little bit of misunderstanding at the beginning when you mentioned allergens. So can you confirm whether you can use A3 for allergens or not?
It's a very difficult question. So, A3 test cannot detect allergens directly because allergen is protein, but ATP is not protein.
Right.
But food residues contains both protein and ATP. So I think if high RLU values are detected, there is a risk of food residues containing allergens.
Great.
Is it okay?
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all the time we have for questions today. If you did submit questions that the speakers weren't able to get to, they will be able to follow up with you after the webinar. So please join me in thanking Mikio, Tom, and Asif, as well as our sponsor, KIKKKOMAN. If you have any additional questions or comments, please don't hesitate to click the Email Us button on your console. As you exit today's webinar, our survey will pop up on the screen. We'd appreciate you taking a few minutes to provide your feedback. Please visit foodsafetymagazine.com for an archive of this presentation, as well as information about our upcoming events. We appreciate your time today and hope you have found this webinar to be a valuable experience.